Took me a minute, but probably not more than a minute to think about what I wanted to share with you tonight. And that is, I want to talk about Ajahn Chah. So over the years, many years, you've heard all the Dharma leaders quoting Ajahn Chah. And to my knowledge, I don't know if anybody's actually talked that much about who he was and what he taught. And so that's what I'm going to do tonight after I have a sip of water. So please get comfortable, just relax. Don't worry about remembering anything. He was, by all accounts, an enlightened teacher. And very, very beloved. He was also, I'm going to say a few words before I turn to my text, but he's probably one of, if not one of the most important teachers that our lineage has come from. So Jack Kornfield ordained with Ajahn Chah, and he was one of the folks that started Insight Meditation Society, of which we are an offspring. And now there are Insight Meditation communities all over the country. So that's kind of cool. So he was born into a large family. They were subsistence farmers, very, very humble in the forests of northern Thailand. He was born June 17th, 1918, and he died January 16th, 1992, at 73 years old, 10 years after he could no longer speak. And prior to that 10 years, so starting at 63, he couldn't speak anymore because of illness. He had diabetes. And prior to that, he was ill a lot and in a lot of pain. He's still known as someone very open-hearted, joyful, even very loving and compassionate. Just want to mention that at his funeral, hundreds of thousands of people were present, including the King and Queen of Thailand, the Prime Minister of Thailand, innumerable dignitaries from Thailand and around the world, hundreds, I mean, thousands of monastics and lay people. And it's always interesting, you know, he was born this youngest of this huge clan in the woods. So he taught, what I want to say is, I've been reading his work for many, many years, and it can be kind of advanced. So I'm going to try to break some stuff down for you and do like little mini tutorials so you can appreciate what he was teaching. But even when I felt like I didn't come close to the standards that he taught, I was inspired by him. So I hope that's the case. Never discouraged, even though I'm not a good Buddhist. Let me just, compare to it yet. So, but his teachings very inspiring anyway. Okay, so let me give you one little anecdote before I turn to this volume. Can you see at home? See the size of my face? I just like this little short story. This is from Everything Arises, Everything Falls Away. It's the teachings of Ajahn Chah. This is just a little couple paragraph story. It kind of gives you an idea of his loving way, compassionate way. And it's about ignorance. A former nun told the story of her first meeting with Ajahn Chah. Having heard much about him, she went to see him at the Hempstead Vihara when he was in London in 1979. He asked her if she practiced meditation, and when she said she had attended several retreats, he asked her about her understanding of anatta, non-self. Quote, this is her. I began to talk and I got into this long, complicated explanation. I was going on and on talking about not self. And as I spoke, I felt my sense of self expanding like a balloon, she said. When she finished talking, Ajahn Chah said a few words in Thai. What did he say? She asked. He says you are very ignorant, the translator supplied. Yet rather than feel denigrated, the young woman was attracted by Ajahn Chah's obvious love and kindness as he spoke those words, and she eventually traveled to Thailand to take ordination with him. So he spoke the truth, he was direct, but always loving and kind. So this is really an amazing volume. It's called Stillness Flowing, the Life and Teachings of Ajahn Chah. And it's free, it's not for sale. And you can get it, you can download it or get it. I'll let you guys take a picture of it later if you want to, if you're interested. But I'm gonna go right to the section. I want to talk about a little bit about how he taught and what he taught. Oh, let me read this quote in the front jacket. And this is Ajahn Chah. I dedicate my body and mind, my whole life, to the practice of the Lord Buddha's teachings in their entirety. I will realize the truth in this lifetime. I will let go of everything and follow the teachings. No matter how much suffering and difficulty I have to endure, I will persevere, otherwise there will be no end to my doubts. I will make this life as even and continuous as a single day and night. I will abandon attachments to mind and body and follow the Buddha's teachings until I know their truth for myself. So this sort of almost halfway through, it's a section called The Heart of the Matter. And it begins with a quote by the Buddha. So I'm just going to kind of dabble through some of his teachings and some of these readings. And like I said, if I read some things that you feel like, whoa, I'm not there, or I'm not quite understanding, please, no worries. Just, this is like peeling an onion. Every time you hear it again, you hear something, you get a little more understanding. So. This is, I'm just going to read. This is actually put together by Ajahn Jayasaro. So this is Ajahn. The Buddha declared that all of his teachings could be resolved into two categories: those revealing the nature of human suffering and those that deal with the cessation of that suffering. He taught that true liberation can only be brought about by cultivation of the Noble Eightfold Path, a comprehensive and integrated training or education of body, speech, and mind. The ultimate freedom from suffering realized through a clear vision of the true nature of things occurs when all 8 factors of that path are brought into in unison to maturity. Formal meditation practice, that is to say, the application of specific mind training exercises, usually in the sitting or walking postures, lies at the heart of the Noble Eightfold Path. Nevertheless, it's only truly effective as a means to liberation when cultivated in conjunction with the other path factors. The principle of the holistic nature of the path is fundamental to Ajahn Chah's meditation teachings. So he preferred to speak about the cultivation of the path in terms of the threefold training. So the 8 path factors are broken into 3. So the first 2 are the wisdom factors called panya, and they're right view and right intention or right resolve. Right view is just kind of understanding the way things are. So it's the 4 noble truths that inherent in life is suffering, that the cause is our craving, that it can end, and then the training. And karma, that we're going to be heir to our actions. So those 2 things make up right view. The next of the 2 wisdom factors is right intention, 3 parts. Renunciation, letting go. What's the cause of suffering? Craving. What's renunciation? Letting go of attachment or clinging. So renunciation, harmlessness. People think of it as compassion. That just like me, other people want to be okay, feel safe, be happy, be content. So compassion or non-harming, and goodwill. Mostly people think of that as loving kindness. So those 3 make up the second, the right view. So right intention. So right view and right intention make up what? Wisdom. What is it? What does the first 2 make up? The training in, say it out loud, please. Wisdom. Wisdom. The 2 of wisdom, right view and right intention. That's the wisdom training. It's a training. Okay. The next 3 are our integrity training or ethics. It's speech, action, and livelihood. This is sila. So the first part is panya. This is sila. It's how we behave, how we speak, how we act, how we make our livelihood. And that's sila. Okay, so the second ethical training is the training in, everybody, sila. Because you're going to be hearing sila. When you hear sila, that's ethics, your ethical training. That affects your meditation. Understanding the path, our intention, and how we behave affects what we experience on the seat in our mind training. The third is the mind training. This is called samadhi. So 3 parts: effort, right mindfulness, and right concentration. Okay, make up samadhi. What does the 3 make up? Samadhi. So panya, wisdom, sila, ethics, samadhi, mind training. Or, okay, got that? Okay, now you're ready to go. Okay, so Ajahn Chah preferred to speak about cultivation of path in terms of the threefold training, a convention by which the 8 constituent factors are resolved into 3 related spheres of practice. Sila, consisting of right speech, action, livelihood. Samadhi, umbrella term for the training of the mind, effort, mindfulness, and concentration. And panya, right view and right resolve or right intention. To Ajahn Chah, these 3 were different aspects of the same process, divided into 3, because at any moment, one of them would take center stage while the other 2 offered essential background support. In one analogy, he said the 3 combine to improve the mind as a combination of spices enhanced a delicious curry. Correct practice of these 3 aspects of path leads, he said, to a Dhamma practice which is beautiful in the beginning, beautiful in the middle, and beautiful in the end. Meditation at his monastery was fully embedded in a way of life designed to minimize the impediments to growth in Dhamma and maximize supporting conditions. So given the Buddha's famous utterance, mind is chief, Mind is the forerunner of all things. It might seem sufficient for meditators to focus all their attention on the mind itself. But Ajahn Chah disagreed with the view that simply by training the mind in meditation, appropriate actions and speech would naturally follow. He said, no, not just training the mind, appropriate actions and speech won't just naturally follow. That's a training. Okay. Now here's his words. It's not possible to simply train the mind, neglecting actions and speech. These things are connected. Practicing with the mind until it's smooth, refined, and beautiful is similar to producing a finished wood pillar or plank. Before you can obtain a pillar that's smooth, varnished, and attractive, you must first go and cut down a tree. Then you must cut off the rough parts, the roots and branches, before you split it, saw it, work it. Practicing with the mind is the same as working with the tree. You have to work with the coarse things first. You have to destroy the rough parts, destroy the roots, destroy the bark, and everything which is unattractive in order to obtain that which is attractive and pleasing to the eye. You have to work through the rough to reach the smooth. Restraint within voluntary adopted boundaries for action and speech, watching over body and speech. He would put it also requires an inner training. Meditators must be constantly aware of whether or not the mind impulses behind their behavior are tainted with defilement. He says you must sustain awareness at every moment and in every posture, whether standing, walking, sitting, or lying down. Before you perform any action, speak, or engage in conversation, first establish your awareness. Practice like this until you are fluent. Practice so that you can keep abreast of what's going on in the mind. Practice to the point at which mindfulness becomes effortless. And you are mindful before you act, mindful before you speak. So to finish the threefold training aspect, he said, the coconut palm absorbs the water from the earth and pulls it up through the trunk. By the time the water reaches the coconut itself, it's become clean and sweet, even though it's derived from that plain water in the ground. The coconut palm is nourished by what are essentially the coarse earth and water elements, which it absorbs and purifies. And these are transformed into something far sweeter and purer than before. So I want to share a little bit now about his biography. So this is his background. And then I'm going to go on and share a little bit more of his teaching. Again, he was born into a large, comfortable family in a rural village of northeast Thailand. In his early youth, he took novice monk ordination, and on reaching the age of 20, he became a bhikkhu, a fully ordained Buddhist monk. So in the Asian countries, little teeny kids often are sent to the monastery. They wear robes so that they're fed 3 meals a day and they get an education. So little teeny, like kindergartners, are part of the monastic order. As they get older, they'll decide whether they want to get ordained or leave. So he was one of those. He studied Buddhist teachings and scriptures, but yearning for meditation guidance and dissatisfied with the slack standard of discipline at his monastery, he took on the life of a tudong, or wandering monk. As a tudong monk, Ajahn Chah lived austerely in forests, caves, and cremation grounds, and sought out the guidance of local meditation masters, including Ajahn Mun. In 1954, after many years of practice without a permanent home, Ajahn Chah was invited to settle in a dense forest near his birth village. Over time, a large monastery called Wat Pao Kong was established there as monks, nuns, and lay people came to hear Ajahn Chah's teachings and train with him. His teachings and community contained elements commonly held throughout the forest tradition, focusing on a simple aesthetic and rigorous lifestyle, discipline and moral conduct, meditation and contemplation and transformation, inner experience, rather than a reliance on scholarly knowledge. So it was about practice. It was about putting it into practice. Although these forest tradition elements were held in common, every forest monastery and teacher also has their own flavor. In his teachings, Ajahn Chah placed an emphasis on community living and right view as essential aspects of the path to liberation. Ajahn Chah was remarkable for his integrity, humor, and humanness, for his sense of surrender to spiritual practice and to the present moment, and for his ability to connect with people from many backgrounds in a spontaneous, straightforward, and joyous manner. He taught in a simple yet profound style and emphasized practice in everyday life. As disciples gathered around Ajahn Chah, branch monasteries in his lineage also began to be established. Many new branch monasteries have continued to be established even after his death in 1992. At present, there are more than 300 forest branch monasteries in Ajahn Chah's lineage spread throughout Thailand and the world. And there are about 5 in the United States. Environmental conditions may cause the details of life amongst these many monasteries to vary somewhat, but in all of them, simplicity, heedfulness, and the strict adherence to monastic discipline support and encourage residents to live a pure life focused on the continuous cultivation of virtue, meditation, and wisdom. So they get up at 3:30 every day. They have one meal a day, and mostly they practice and take care of what needs to be done, but they meditate. He said, eat little, sleep little, meditate a lot, practice a lot. So like I say, I fall quite short, but I'm inspired. I'm still inspired. So I'm just going to share one more piece of his teaching. So he said, everything begins with generosity. Giving material things creates a familiarity with the letting go of selfishness and possessiveness that would stand meditators in good stead when seeking to let go of increasingly subtle levels of attachment through meditation. So physical generosity helps us let go of our attachments to our ideas and such thoughts in meditation. And these are his words. Performing acts of generosity is a kind of tormon, that is training the mind by countering its desires. He gave an example of a person with 2 apples who decides to give one to a friend, but realizes that he wants to keep the larger one for himself. A Dhamma practitioner would overcome his selfish thoughts and give away the larger. And this is his words. If you dare decide to give away the big apple, you feel a twinge of grief, but once you've made the decision, the grief is gone. This is disciplining the mind in the correct way and achieving a victory over yourself. Giving dana, giving happiness to others. So he thinks of dana as giving happiness. Is a way of cleansing what is soiled within. You need a warm, kind, and benevolent heart. This is something to reflect on. Generosity is the first thing that needs to be maintained in your mind. So I'm sorry we don't have more time because I'd like to read more of his teachings to you, but I commend you to explore the teachings of Ajahn Chah, and you can find even on YouTube, like this, over 300 monasteries root back to this one teacher. And that's remarkable, and I encourage you to find out why that is. Thank you for listening.